Representative Love.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Glenn, Wendy.
Yes, ma'am.
Your testimony in this bill brings up a lot of questions for me. And one, Rep. Glenn, when you talk about peaceful protests, peaceful protest is really convenient. It's really nice, especially for employers. As long as people stay on the sidewalk or wherever they're designated, it's really great because I can continue to do whatever it is I was doing that caused that protest to take place anyway. So as long as the people behave themselves, we'll carry on and do whatever dysfunction or whatever behavior that people found offensive. Doesn't matter. Just stand over there and behave. So one, it's really kind of very condescending and dispiriting to the entire reason why people come together to picket or protest. There has been some violation, some offense made that people have felt it necessary to gather together to express themselves in this way. But I guess in your testimony, it's okay as long as you do that very nicely over there in that appropriate area. And so I just remember, and probably you and some of my colleagues here when we were in college, there, I know I did, had not so proper protest, because doing it the peaceful way did not get the attention, did not get the results that we needed. So we have to sometimes walk into the middle of the street to get the attention, because if people don't, then we'll carry on doing whatever we're going to do because we can, and what are you going to do about it? So understanding that we are human beings responding to the things that are happening to us in this picketing way. And then I look at and listen to the example that you gave of Attorney General Schuette and the Earth First folks at his house. And they're protesting, they're picketing at the house. And this fine would go to not the employer, but to an individual person. And how do you come up with, how do you find these people? How do you capture, if it was people from the city of Flint who were picketing the governor's house, how do you find each one of these individuals and say, what's happened to us in the city of Flint is so egregious, we need to let you know how we have suffered. But you got to do it peacefully, or else we're going to charge you that $1,000. And if you're related to a union, we're going to make it even worse every day. So people who are already suffering, you impose a deeper, not suffering, and then use the example of McDonald's. They make $8 or whatever minimum wage is, and then say, and not only do you not get your $15 or pay increase that you want, we're going to fine you $1,000 because you stepped into the street. The law is already there that exists if you call and it's enforced. So I really don't get this, other than that this is a bill that is trying to neuter protesters. As long as you behave yourself and stand over there and be quiet and protest nicely, you're okay with us. So I don't know how that serves the act or the spirit of why we gather as people. And there is a need and sometimes a reason for that. And I think, because I know that sometimes you wear that little pin with the 2 feet. And I go, how does this affect right-to-lifers? So if I'm a right-to-lifer, and I believe children have a right to be born and they should have all those liberties as you and me, an adult. But I'm standing there with my sign, and it's got a picture of an aborted, half-aborted infant there. And so you're going to fine me $1,000 because I believe that this child has a right to life. But I'm going to be subject to that same penalty that those McDonald's workers will, that union worker will, that factory worker will. The spirit of it, what everyone is trying to do is say, listen and look at this. Let's see if there's another way we can resolve it. But instead of doing that, we say $1,000 fine a day, $10,000 fine a day. Is this an appropriate law to do that when you already have something on the books that says it's illegal? And let law enforcement do what law enforcement do and not further punish people for expressing an opinion and trying to defend their rights.